to Tales from the Grip. I'm your grip keeper, Peter Mokri, and today we are talking about Mafer clamps and Cardellinis. Let's get into it. Now that was some scary stuff. Let's forget all about it and just get right into the clamps. So we have our Mafer clamp here and we have our Cardellini here. Now these are used to attach to, let's say, a stand, a piece of wood, a desk, anything you can think of that they'll be able to clamp onto, you could use them for. And then what you can do is you could attach camera gear to it or lighting and other grippage. The Cardellini, its design is really cool because it has a shaft on the back, and on that shaft right there, you have a baby pin receiver. So baby pin is what normally you would attach a light to. It's what the spigot is on your C-stand. So that's a very common size. So what that does is if I have a table here and I want to attach a light to it and I want to clamp onto it, when I clamp on, now I have the ability to attach a light. So it is the tool that gets us from the regular world into our filmmaking world and gets us to attach different things to it. And what's really nice and really satisfying, if you have a nice one, you can just spin it like that. I mean, that is amazing. And what it does is the jaws open up and they have these grooves, these V shapes, so it could wrap around round objects, which I'll show you momentarily. But this just opens up and then it clamps down. So you have a clamping motion and then you tighten it down. Now, when it comes to a Mafer clamp, it has a different design on how it does. It's more of a hinging design. So it hinges down and it's spring loaded so it stays open and it will hinge down. But you notice that the points don't come down straight. It actually bites down and won't line up. So this clawing part doesn't line up the same way. So just like my hand, it will come down, but I'm not lining it up flat. So you're not getting equal pressure on these points at one position. So it's slightly different and it has a little bit of a different shape, but it does have features where you could add stuff to it and screw stuff into it. So it's a little different and the profiles are different as well. So you may be able to use them in certain scenarios that one won't work and the other one will. So I have a lot of stuff laid out on the table and it'll all come into play soon enough. So we're going to attach the Mafer clamp first. And what the Mafer clamp comes with is it has this little attachment here and it's a little piece of plastic. And where it goes is right here. It can click in case you are doing a flat surface. So instead of it having that little curve, that little cutout, it has a flat surface to mount to. But we want to take advantage of being on a curved surface and use this to bite into. So I'm going to loosen this up, get it, and then I'm going to tighten it up and get it to bite into it. So it's locked in, we're good to go. Now, how do we attach a light to it? So there are a few ways you could attach things. I'm gonna go with something right off the bat. Let's say you're not doing a light or you're doing a very lightweight light. Let's say you're doing like an aperture MC and you wanna kind of dial it into a perfect spot. Well, on this, there are actually 1/4-20 threads. So you can actually connect a magic arm directly to this and you're all set. And then I'm going to grab a little light and I could attach it here. And now I have the ability to put this light wherever I want. So now, obviously, if we're in a big grid, we're not just gonna have one little MC illuminating a space, but this could be anywhere in any space. This could be up against a wall, underneath a car, and we need to get to the right spot. And this is really sturdy. So that's something that's important. I know there are little smaller clamps out there, but they don't really open up for something this large, and this will be able to bite in. So that's where this can come into play. Now, what you can also do with a setup like this is take advantage of another mounting point that's on there. And what is common is right here, there's a hole, and that hole gives you the ability to add attachments. So if I wanted to add a light, I can pop a little stud like this, and this is another stud that's a baby pin stud. And then it has right here, these little cutouts. It's kind of like a nut, and it fits right in there and prevents it from spinning. You see, if I put the round end in, which you could still do, and it will function sometimes, depending on the one you have, but this goes in here and then it locks in, and now it's not going anywhere because this pin on the side button catches it. So you go here, go in there, knock it loose, and it stays in. And then you have a second safety where you crank down on this and it locks it in. So what can we attach to this? So if I have a light here, I can go ahead and attach the light that I need, lock it right in, and I have a light attached to this, and I could adjust it as needed wherever I want, rotate it. Now, one thing you'll notice is the further you get away from your contact point where the clamp is, the more leverage it has. And you see how far this is sticking out and it's starting to work its way down. So that's something to consider. So we have to keep an eye out on that. But if we were doing something upside down or from above, we don't have to worry about it because the weight is coming straight down here and it's not coming to either side. And this will be perfectly fine to set up. And then if we need to turn the light, we can rotate it wherever we need to. Now, if this was overhead, we could undersling it as well. So let's go ahead and lift this up a little bit. So now we can go underslung. So we just swing this under here and we're underslung and we're ready to go. Now, one thing to always consider is when you're doing something like this, think about safety. So it's good to use a safety chain, and I like to just have as many of these as I want and need just ready to go because safety is paramount. And there are many ways you could hook these up, but the most important thing is get it over the nice sturdy safe point and then you clamp it on. And you want to get it as short as possible because the longer it is, the bigger the fall. So if you have it where it's very long safety cable, safety chain, when it comes down, there's a higher probability of it getting enough inertia and yanking that out. But now this is safe. If it comes off, it'll catch itself. What if we have a Cardellini? Can we do the same? Well, yeah, we could attach a Cardellini in a similar manner. It doesn't require the pin because the pin is built in. Look how smooth that goes. Oh, that goes on there so smooth. Right there, clamped on. We're nice and safe. We can get this guy out of the way for just a moment and focus on this. So now we have a Cardellini here. Now the same thing, like I said before, you want to be careful to not do something like this too often. It can be really difficult to keep it from rotating itself. But if you see here, this is actually holding really well. And then it's also dependent. I have this on stands, so this could rotate here as well. So sometimes what you can do is you could counterbalance with something else to kind of offset the weight so then it's a little more balanced. Now you may come into a situation where the location of where you could clamp onto may not be the right spot for you to get a light somewhere. So what can you do? So there are plenty of options out there, but things that I like to do is I like to get a hold of a gobo arm, and then that gives me some flexibility on extending out what I'm doing and where I want it to go. So you can attach it. And what I like to do when I attach to a Cardellini or anything that's hanging, I like to get the side of the gobo that actually has the locking pin portion so it doesn't pop out. So it goes like this. Now what you can also do as a safety measure is if you don't have the ability to make it where it locks in like this and you want to go the other way and lock it in like this, which I don't know why you would want to do, but some people may want to do it. You have the ability to put in a safety. So this actual pin has a hole right here. And when you slide something like a nail in, you can give yourself a little bit of a safety. So then if this comes loose, it catches right there. Now, if I take that out, if I could get it straight and do it the other way, you can do the same thing, giving yourself a safety. So that's a nice little feature that is really good, and you always want to play it safe because you never know. This could vibrate loose and then it wants to fall down, but it won't fall down because it's catching that nail. So we have that safe right there, which is really great. But now I want to get the light further out this way. So there's a few ways you can do it. So some people, if they don't have much grippage, they may want to just directly mount a light to here. So you can go like this, extend it out, and then directly mount a light like that. Now the problem with that is you're getting a lot of torque. So you've got to be careful with that. You could see everything is ready to spin. There's a lot of weight and it's wanting to pull. You could counter it by having a little more weight here, but you always want to work within the weight limits of your gear. You don't want to push it to the max. So always figure out how much a Mafer clamp can hold, how much a Cardellini can hold, how much your gear can actually hold things. So you have to play it smart and play it safe. So don't overdo it. But if this was hanging down, you do have some options. Now, I don't like mounting like this because it just slides right off. There's nothing for it to catch onto. So what you could do is you could do the reverse and use something like this. And this is a pin, it's a baby pin, but if you notice it has a little collar on the back. And what that gives us the ability to do is it catches if something were to fall. So here, it won't come out. It just stays in. So that's really nice. So then if we're doing something low like this, it kind of gives it a safety and we don't have to worry about something falling out. And then if I want to touch this light here, there we go. And let's go ahead and raise this up just because I need to get clearance. And that may be exactly where I need to put my light. And I still have the ability to move around with the gobo arms and gobo heads or grip heads, whatever you want to call them. They give you the flexibility to move and change directions so you're not so rigid. When you're just going straight in to a Cardellini or a Mafer clamp, you don't have the ability to move so much. You're limited to what the light can do, but it doesn't give you as much flexibility if you want to rotate. You move on 2 axes. Now back to just the Mafer clamp. So we have the Mafer clamp here. It's attached to speed rail like it was before. And you got to remember, we have this little input here, this receiver, so we could actually use different attachments for it. So I have a gobo head that has the male portion of this and it goes right into this. So it's really nice because if I was saying earlier that if you get further away, you add more torque, so there's more chance of it rotating. So if you could get whatever you're attaching really close to the clamp, it's going to have a stronger hold on it. So this gets it right up against it, which is really nice. So we could attach different things. We could get one of our pins and attach a light really close here. We could get the arm. We could get different things. We could even get a flag and attach a flag as needed. So let me open that up a little bit more. There we go. We have a flag. All right. I want the flag to be right there. Have light here. We're blocking light here. That's just right. And then we lock it in to place and it's good to go. So that gives us some flexibility and the possibilities are endless. Now, does the Cardellini have that ability? Well, it kind of does, because there's a second type. There's actually multiple different types, but on the other ones, you saw the pin was back here, like on this. This one, the pin is actually on the front. So what we can do is we can open this guy up. Great. And then we can do that there. And now we could add a gobo head to here. Get it nice and tight and in there. Awesome. And now we have it close as well. The main purpose of clamps like this is it takes you from what I would call the real world, right? Whether it's a home you're in that you're filming, a location, a warehouse, whatever, you're taking that space and you're adapting it with tools so you can use industry standard connections. Industry standard connections like a baby pin. Industry standard connections like 1/4 threaded things, 3/8 threaded things. So when that comes to mind is, okay, well, if I need to connect some stuff, here is where the actual Mafer comes into play and has an advantage, another advantage. Standard photography little studs, which I have a little baggie of them here. And if I needed to use a stud, let's say like this, I could attach this stud here. It goes in right here. And now I have a really close connection point. This is 3/8. Now, what is 3/8 connection? Well, a lot of your tripod heads, a lot of camera cages and different accessories like that work. So you could even get a camera right now and attach it to this. Or you can get a ball head like this and connect it right to this. And what does that give you the ability to do is now you can mount a camera in a top-down setup and use a quick release or whatever you may want to use. Now, just as you were able to see, there's going to be a little torque of weight and it's going to pull the other way, but you could also do it this way. So now the weight's down and your camera can connect right here, point down, and it's nice and secure and easy to use. So there's a lot of flexibility with a clamp like this. Now, I will have to say, the Cardellini doesn't have that ability without attaching a few more things. Let's talk wood. So I have some 2x4s here. They're going to mimic a table, let's say a wall of a construction site. Maybe you're in an industrial space, but it's two flat surfaces. So flat on top, flat on bottom. So that is a little different from the speed rail, which was cylindrical. It was round. So we're going to attach differently. So I'm going to take our Cardellini, and we're going to attach it. Now you want to make sure that you don't twist this because that is not going to be a secure clamping like this as if you have both of these going the same direction. So we're going to make sure they go the same direction. We're going to line it up, make sure it's nice and even, and then we're going to tighten it down. So now we're nice and flat, and with the way that it's designed is you have these flat points on this and this side, including the groove. But if you're getting flat contact to these points, it makes it nice and secure. So that makes a real nice contact point. It's nice and sturdy. You can grab your light and attach it with ease, and you're set and ready to go. So you can save on having a stand in a certain scenario if you have somewhere to clamp onto, because you may have to have everything off the ground. If I want a light right here above me, kind of like up there, you can see I'm actually using a Cardellini to put a tube up there, and I'm using a gobo. So I don't have the ability to put a stand up there. I don't want to boom something out and across. I want this out of the way, nice and neat, and this gives us the ability to do that. And sometimes that may mean we're doing it with something attached to a table. So this could be a table, or this could be done overhead. Let's see how the Mafer clamp fares in this scenario. Another thing before I get into it, we got to look at is, let's say we wanted to mount this way. This won't actually clamp on. There's not enough room here. So if I had to clamp long ways with this, or this was flipped around, whatever the case may be, but let's say we're having to clamp this way, it won't fit. The solution for that is you get a longer one. And that longer one should give you the ability to clear stuff a lot easier. So now that goes on there, and we're able to clamp on just like that. Just know you have a little bit more leverage there, but this is a really nice sturdy contact point. Now what's different about this versus the pipe, on the pipe, it's smooth and you can rotate around and it can slip. Here you're biting into two flat surfaces, so the chances of it slipping are a lot harder to happen. It'd really have to come loose, and I am really cranking on this, and it really comes down to the integrity of what you're clamping to. You don't want to clamp to something really thin because it's not going to be able to bite down and get that force. But if you're too short and you can't reach, you want to get something that's longer. Let's try the Mafer clamp in the same scenario. So I'm going to try to clamp on here because obviously this is too small to clamp on here. So let's see if I could clamp on. Let's go ahead and go this way because we'd want to clamp on to the top. Let's see what we get. See how that's not secure? That's ready to come loose. And I crank down on it. It feels tight here, and then it can come loose. So it's not really secure. Let's go ahead and insert the little wedge that goes into here. It has 2 connection points. There are 2 holes here, and those holes are actually able to be used to attach other grippage as well. You could actually put screws through here and add different attachments. There's so many things you could do with these. So I'm going to click these in. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to start clamping down. Now we have a flat surface, and this corner doesn't want to jump in right there. So now it should be able to clamp down a little bit better. Now the difference is when we're clamping down here, whenever these points come down, they're coming down on the same point. They're even. So here and here, here and here, they come straight down. Now when you have a Mafer, like we said earlier, you'll see this does not want to come down right here. It comes down short. So it's actually not biting in the same point. So it's acting like scissors or pliers or something else that have, or cutters. Instead of coming into the same point to contact, it's slightly off. And that's what can give you some issues. So when we crank down on here, we'll see how strong we are. So now we're a little more stable than we were earlier. I still have a little bit of flex in here, but I feel a lot better than without that. So just know, don't lose those. And when I say don't lose them, what's really cool is the way that they're designed. You still lose them. There's actually a little slot, and these go in like this, and they're supposed to stay in right on the back so you don't lose them. But I don't trust them there because they're just going to end up disappeared. So I keep them in with my little accessory bag that I have odds and ends to have them there. So now let's bring a stand in. So you have a normal combo stand here. C-stands can work as well. They're just a little bit thinner a lot of times. And let's bring the Mafer in. The Mafers are actually designed really well for this scenario where we can attach the Mafer, screw it in. Now the difference between a Mafer and a super clamp, which Manfrotto makes the super clamps, is you'll notice the Mafer clamp has a small knob here. The super clamps have kind of a elongated one-sided knob, and sometimes they have the ability to ratchet. Now in tighter spaces, that could be limiting because you could actually hit a point and you can't really go any further and tighten it. This is small, so a lot of times you could tighten it in smaller scenarios. We have the pin already in place, and then we can easily grab a light and shoot a light into whatever we need to. If we wanted to have a second light on the stand, which may be something we want, we could have a light up here as well. We could add as many as we need as long as it can support it, or we can go the route of doing something like a flag. And if we want to attach a flag right here, we can attach a flag. So how would we do that? Well, in this scenario here, we'd just grab a gobo and attach it. So this won't rotate here, but this can rotate, so you got to pay attention to that. But if we put something lighter weight in there, shouldn't be an issue. And now we can flag off our light as needed, tilting it wherever we want, locking it in, it's ready to go. And then our light can be up top. So if we needed to cut it or do whatever we needed to, and this is adjustable up and down. And it can rotate. And it could also rotate this way. So we have a lot of flexibility with this system, giving us a lot of points of just adjustability. Now, don't overcrank on these because you can damage your stands. These are not invincible. You crank down too hard, you're going to put a pinch in your stand itself. It can make it harder to close. It can make it where you have to get it repaired and get a replacement shaft. That's something you may not want to do. But does the Cardellini fare in this situation? Well, let's find out. So we'll drop this down and see if we can get a Cardellini to do what we need to. This is actually a Mathelini, which is Very similar to a Cardellini. They're not exactly the same. You can see the knob on this is a little bit different than the first one I showed you. So Cardellini has this right here. It's a lot smoother actually. Oh my gosh, that is so smooth. Oh, I could do that all day long. And then you have the Mafer here. Let's try that. No, I'm sorry guys. I'm gonna have to say the Cardellini. Oh, that sounds so good. It's so nice. So we have that attached on. We're gonna put our head on, connect it right up. There we go. And then we can attach our flag to it. So yeah, very similar in design. The Mafer does take one more component to make it work. This one has it built in. And then if I needed to get further out, I could go with a longer one to get further out. And the possibilities are endless. Or if you really wanted to, you can go and put an arm out and get even further out as needed. All right, copy. We got a situation, guys. The director needs somewhere to put his coffee. All right, so we have a stand, we have a gobo, we attach the gobo. Awesome. Okay, what can we do? Let's grab a Mafer. Good, perfect, perfect. All right, and grab an apple. There we go. And now we can have somewhere for the director to put their coffee. It's really important, but it could be a laptop stand, it could be a surface, it could be a little table just off to the side of someone that you're interviewing so they could set their things down. Maybe it holds an iPad, but you have flexibility. There you go, gobo and Cardellini. Simple as that. Can we do it with the Mafer? More than likely not, but let's give it a try. These are baby receiver sizes, so could put that in there. Let's see if we can lock this guy in. Oh, wait, we need to get that little wedge. I wouldn't do it. So there you go. The Cardellini, Mafer win in that scenario. I would not do that. Now, what you can do is take advantage of this in a scenario where you're on something that's a little sturdier, like a C-stand, and you need to hold something. And I've done this before where I get this, and then I have a backdrop holder, and I'm able to attach something like that. Or if I'm in a pinch, which these are probably not rated for, but if I'm doing something simple, I will even put speed rail here to hold something up. You could hold up a piece of dowel rod or something like that from end to end and hold it in place and clamp it down, and you could have like shears going across something. So that's really helpful. So just know that these are grabby points. These clamps can clamp onto things and grab things in your space that you may need to hold on to. So don't limit yourself. Don't think that you're just kind of constricted. Now, I want to know some ideas you guys have. When have you used a Mafer clamp in just a wild situation? What's your go-to for them? And I also want to know what your go-to scenario is for using a Cardellini or something that's kind of different that most people don't do. If you don't have these in your kit, I highly recommend them. I'm saying get one of each. Get a Mafer clamp, get a Cardellini, get a longer Cardellini, because when you have a shorter one with a shorter spread on it, you're going to want one that has a longer spread on it. So I would just grab a selection. You get these three guys in the mix and you can do so much with it. All right, let's go ahead and try something else. If you've ever been on set, you've heard of the term just Hollywood it. And what that means is just, hold it in place. We'll see how it looks and we'll decide from there. Well, a lot of the times you're stuck holding something for a long period of time. And that also applies to products and things like that that you may be trying to shoot or test out, or maybe you want to get some foreground elements or something just held in place. And let's say we want to hold something in place like this axe, and we want to hold it right here because we want to do whatever with it. We want to take a picture of the head of it and we could clamp on here. So what could we do? Well, let's go ahead and grab a gobo head. And that's another thing that I would say is if you have C-stands, I know that there's gobo heads that come with them a lot of times. I would get some extra just for rigging stuff up, because you may need that arm and head for something like a flag, but then you don't have a spare head just laying around. And these come in handy so often. So I just have a crate full of these grip heads, gobo heads. So we're going to do this. We're going to attach it here. Awesome. Let's turn this around. And then we're going to make sure that if we're facing the knob, we put the weight on the right side. I want to give us some distance. That looks good. Awesome. And then I want to attach this here. Let's do this. There we go. So the weight will be, now y'all could see everything. So the weight will be on this side-ish. Put that in there, bring this up, and there we go. Let's get that into place. Perfect. All right. It's holding on to it exactly where I want it. It's not moving. I could even put my, no, don't put your head under it. Anyways, don't be putting axes up using grip equipment. Maybe this is a bad idea. This is a prop. It's not real. Maybe it is real. But anyways, I wanted to get this in a certain position, and I have that flexibility now. I have the ability to get it exactly where I want it, how I want it, turn it to the direction I want. And that's something that this clamp gives you the ability to do. It gives you the ability to grab hold of something and get it to stay in a certain place. And you could arm out and do different things. But if you just had a gobo arm and a stand, you can't clamp onto something. And that's why you need these nice jaws to grip into something. And with this scenario, I bet we could use this Mafer clamp as well. It could work. Don't F it up. You know what I'm talking about. So this is a world famous 2x4 and we don't want to damage it. Shouldn't be clamping to it anyway, but I'm going to show you something. So if you have an object that you are clamping to and you do want to protect it, you can use some scrap wood on each side. Now be careful what kind of wood you're using. If it's stained or painted, you could actually press that into the surface that you're clamping to, but it does provide a buffer. So what I'm going to do is I will attach the Cardellini Mathellini clamp here. This is a Mathellini, but some people call them a Cardellini. I don't go into the history of what's what. I just use what I use, and that's how I use it. So it's clamped on. I have these lined up as best as I can get it without being too OCD about it. It's clamped on. You see the 2x4 is sandwiched between both pieces of wood, and then we clamp on. And that's another reason it's nice to have the longer versions as well, because you may have to do something like this. Now, what some people make the mistake of is they'll over tighten these and they get stuck. And when you loosen this, the clamp is still engaged because it flexes and locks into place. What you can do is you could grab a tool, another piece of wood, something, and you don't want to hit here, you want to hit here. This is the part that binds up, and you can give it just a little tap. So if this was loose and it was still bound up, just a little tap on it can knock it loose, and you just hit it there and it'll knock it loose where it comes out. Now it does happen. It happens normally when you connect to like something metal where it really doesn't have flex. This has a little bit of flex in it, so it's able to move. But now we end up marring up the scrap pieces of wood rather than our surfaces. So remember, it's your responsibility not to F stuff up, and it's your responsibility not to destroy locations. I know that your feature film or your indie short is your #1 priority, but locations that you rent out or that you have access to, that's someone else's property, and you really want to respect it. And if you could go there and not leave a trace behind and not leave damage, that will get you called back out, and that is really crucial. And when you're using tools like these, especially when you're dealing with anything grip related, there's a lot of opportunity for someone to get hurt and for property to get damaged. And that's why you have to be very cautious when you do things. Don't just go out there willy-nilly and clamp onto anything that you could clamp onto just because you want to. If you went to a granite countertop to the edge, clamped on really hard, someone bumped it, you could snap that granite countertop, and that would be a very costly mistake. And on top of that, it could come crashing down onto an expensive hardwood floor, and you just don't want that situation. So maybe in that circumstance, it may be better just to get a stand close by, bag it up, rather than clamping on a Cardellini, because it's just easy and quick to use. Thank you so much, guys. If you like watching Tales from the Grip, please subscribe to the channel. I do BTS content, I show lighting breakdowns, I do a whole array of things, and now this new series, Tales from the Grip, just showing off some good old-fashioned grippage and some tips and tricks. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, YouTube says click on all this random stuff. If you don't, they will do something. I don't know what, but they'll do it. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one.